Hi, I'm Todd Wente, and this is the Daily 180. 180 seconds of motivation and inspiration intended to help you take action and improve your life. Today we are on episode 113 of the Daily 180, and we're going to continue with the theme that we've been talking about, or that we started talking about in episode 112, which was the idea of all in. Today we're talking about it in the family facet, and it looks pretty similar, but a little bit different. And the question is simply this. When we talk about all in, what do we mean, and how does that apply to that particular facet? You'll recall on episode 112, we talked about how all in a spiritual facet means that we stay consistent with what our spiritual or perhaps religious beliefs might be during difficult times as well as in good times. And in many ways, the all in concept works in the family the very same way. When you find yourself facing difficult times, do you pull back from your family? When your family is giving you resistance, struggle, difficulty, do you withhold the support, the emotional connection, the encouragement that they might need to otherwise overcome things? That's natural. And in fact, it's very ordinary. It's very common for people to struggle with that kind of a situation and that kind of result. But can I suggest that the all-in philosophy applies just as much and just as clearly to difficult times in the family as it did to difficult times in life with the spiritual facet? The times that our family is struggling the most, the times that we feel like we are just butting heads with each other the most, is the time that we need to be the most committed to the relationships that we have in our family. Now, please understand, this is one of those places where things can get a little bit crazy. If an individual is dealing with a situation of abuse or of domestic violence, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is being committed to the relationship enough to do whatever is necessary to move the relationship forward. In a situation of abuse, that's a totally different situation, and in those kinds of situations, you have to be all into yourself. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later in our process. But when we're talking about all into our family relationships, especially relationships that are, for the most part, healthy relationships, we really need to make sure that when we find ourselves coming into conflict with each other, that's the time to invest the most in those relationships, to keep them moving forward, and to really realize the value and the power that can come from those relationships. My wife and I used to remark when people have asked us how we've survived as long as we have in our marriage, 26 years. It's not a record, but it's not a hobby either. And yes, it's our first marriage for both of us. People have asked, how did you last 26 years? We kind of respond jokingly, and we said, well, divorce was never on the table. Murder, that's a different story. That's just a joke. If my mother-in-law is watching, it's a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this has been useful for you. Have a wonderful day. Go forth and conquer, and be all in for your family. We'll see you next time.